We're about to send in our final return notice, then the active state. My 15-year-old daughter, also part of Yale, living in a private with us, wants her driving permit. All the paperwork rope me and rope her back into a contract, and they want an affidavit of residency. Yeah, that's jurisdiction 101, baby. Can we put our family member's address? But are there other options? Tyler, what I would do is teach your child how to do a reservation of rights by signing non-assumption on the DMV. Number one, same thing with the affidavit of residency, which technically is not a signature. It means she did not or he did not undertake. So the question is this roping your daughter back into jurisdiction of the United States? And from a color of law standpoint, it does, but from a factual basis standpoint, operating in a court, getting questioned about whether or not you actually signed that and they have subject matter jurisdiction over you is a whole nother question. So why we do what we do is so that we can protect our kids and protect jurisdiction over them. And so teach them how to sign to where there is no jurisdiction over them, and then we'll teach them how to operate in a court position where there is no jurisdiction over that particular application because you did not in fact agree to the terms of the application, agree to being a United States citizen, a tax person, all these things. And so your daughter's going to eventually have to, or your son is going to eventually have to understand the ins and outs potentially if something were to happen and they truly wanted to live out state citizenship. They might have to address this someday, sometime. I'm going to tell you, under Title 18, it is clear that you do not need a driver's license to drive on these highways and byways. You just do not. The law is clear. Now, do they teach law enforcement that? And do you want your kids to go through that? So the answer is no. So have him sign non-assumption on the driver's permit, license, and proof of residency. And then even after all of that's done and the license is issued, we have a letter once they've gone through the living and the private that we can notice them of that we are in fact a citizen of the great state of California, and that if there's any implied terms of jurisdiction due to the element of the word residency, it's hereby denied. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do post to annex it, ANNEX, that to, meaning that mailing to the original application and to have them put it in file. They're not going to know what to do with it. You're just saying you're a proud American and citizen of California and the great nation of the United States of America, and that you're, which is different than the United States. And then you ask them to put this with the original application just to dot an I, cross a T, what have you. So those are the only way, that is the only way if you want to hang on to a license to be able to protect you, yourself, or your children. That is the only way. There is no other real way. I know there's people that talk about all kinds of things out there. I just don't want to contract with them. So I'm not going to do an implied contract. I'm going to do a no contract. I did not undertake. If you happen to issue me the card, I'm going to accept the card, keep it in my wallet for the BC. And if I ever get pulled over, I'm going to show them license, registration, proof of insurance, and I'm going to be on my merry way. And then I'm going to call 1-800-tickets and have them go down for 99 bucks and beat that clown in court. I'm not going to argue with them on the side of the road about why I do not have a license. And I'm not going to argue at I'm just going to get in and out and stop wasting my time with sovereign citizen tactics of spending 14 hours to rebut the presumption of jurisdiction because I have a canceled driver's license when you haven't handled the fact that you agreed to that term of being a resident and a citizen of the United States on the original contract. Just because it's suspended or canceled does not mean you've done away with the agreement. It's still an active agreement from a jurisdictional position standpoint for the state to prove subject matter jurisdiction. And so that's how they get sovereign citizens, because they got one foot in, one foot out. They're not dealing with all their contracts. And so You really want to either not get it at all, but every kid is like looking at that like it's gold. I hear you. So I just teach them to sign non-assumpsit and bear that burden. It's not a big burden, it's pretty easy. And once you're through it and they have a license, you know that there's no contract in place and there's a safety provision at the very minimum.